Hi, Meredith.
Hi, Anna Lynn.
I'm having a little bit of difficulty tonight in that when I tried to log in as a host, it was telling me that I had the wrong information. So I don't know if they changed it and just didn't tell me, or that they did tell me, but I don't know where they put it or what. So we're recording right now, but that's okay. Once we get our presenter on and we do our presentation, then I can just edit off this first 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not the end of the world, but yeah, so but I have that other concern. I'm trying to remember, did you see an email from me go to a woman named Kate Farron about our upcoming events and all that kind of stuff?
Kate Farron. I don't think so.
Hmm. Is it possible that I thought I sent it and I didn't?
Or it's possible that you sent it and I've missed it because I was out all day yesterday at Shan's.
Oh,
So I'm playing
dear.
catch up.
Now, this is about a week ago that I sent this.
I can check.
Yeah,
Kate
her name
Farron.
is Kate, C-A-I-T, Farron, F-A-R-R-E-N. It's also by geographic interest is the other way that I've sent emails to her.
Okay.
And
And who is
so
Kate Farron?
she is now the liaison between the interest networks, the geographic interest networks, and AAMFT.
Okay. I think I did see that. Now that you say that it gets in context, because I think you sent her a whole host of questions that we had, including our financial questions.
Yes.
Yes, I did see that.
Okay, good. Then I'm not out of my mind. Okay,
No, you
good.
were not. You were not. You were not crazy.
Yeah, at least not on that one.
Well, I've been reading. Last night I was reading about quarantine fatigue, and it just fatigued me even more, so I stopped. That was
Good,
enough.
good plan. Good plan to
I,
not
I,
to not
I
let an
think,
article on quarantine fatigue you.
oh boy.
Um,
How are you doing?
Same old, same old. I've had to make some changes to our workshop schedule because of scheduling. But I've put out the one already for July. I'm wondering, I mean, this is all stuff that Andrea and Irma need to hear. And by the time I get this available, time will have long passed. So I'm not going to wait until let them listen to it. So let me put out a post to so Irma and Andrea and see if they're coming. There we go. Will you be attending the board meeting now before the 6 o'clock event? Question mark. So, yeah, so right now we have a town hall July 16th, which is Eli Bravo talking about Buddhism and marriage and family therapy. And then we have nothing in August. And then in September, we have the domestic violence one. I had to move it back to September 24th. So that's going to be the 2-hour domestic violence for licensure renewal. And then in November, in October is the 2-hour medical airs with Roxanne Bayman. That's going to be October 15th. And then in November is when we're going to do, Larry and I are going to do ethics and boundaries unless I find somebody else to do it.
Oh, great. Y'all are fun.
I'll have to find a Jeopardy game for that. So,
Oh,
Andrea says she's coming back. Okay. So I don't know what's going on with Irma, but yeah.
yeah.
So anyway, they're not in the order that I originally scheduled them, but we still have all three.
Okay.
So, so 6 to 8, 6 to 8, and 6 to 9 is when we're doing it.
And that's November for ethics.
19.
19, 6 to 9 p.m.
Yep.
Okay.
And Larry has agreed to use that for to use their provider number.
Great. And are they handling money?
Well, now that is a good question. I'm not quite sure how to handle the money. And that's something I would want the board in on. Hey, Andrea.
Hi.
Hey.
I was all alone, and I said, well, maybe they're going to come later.
No, what was happening is the information that I have to be the host is not working. So yeah, so I don't know what's up with that. Let me turn my video back on. It's not working, so I need to send an email out to Kate. Now, since she has not responded to the one I sent last week,
which was a really good one, and looked at everything we've been saying for the past how many months?
okay, so I captured it all.
You captured it all. I was like, ugh. Take that.
Yeah, well, help me. It was really help me. So I'm hoping that but so maybe it's so much that she's gathering up her information before she answers. I don't know. But
I also tried to send separate emails to the people who send the ones out for the emerging professionals. I mean, the leadership ones too, but I didn't get anything back.
And I signed up for a thing to attend, and apparently it happened, but they never gave me the information to attend it. Now, I didn't spend any money on it, but nonetheless. So I don't know. I continue to feel a disconnect, but I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up getting that relationship to work out. So I texted Irma. She hasn't responded, and it's her colleague that is the one doing the event today. So that has me worried. I'm gonna mute my mic and call her.
Okay.
So Meredith, did I not get an email about the next lunch with Larry, or did we miss something? Did I miss something?
I haven't gotten those. I don't know when the next one is.
Okay, I know they said something about July, but I thought we were gonna start I don't know if they were gonna change, the name or anything, but I thought we were gonna do it again.
I haven't heard anything. I think
Okay.
Annalyn has talked to him since I've heard anything else from FFTA, because
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
They might do ethics and boundaries together.
That's right.
I think so. It's such weird times right now. It's just
It's exhausting.
It is. I told Annalyn that I came home last night from Shan's for some tests, and then was reading an article on quarantine fatigue. It fatigued me enough. I thought, I'm not doing this. It's crazy. It's 9:30 at night. I need to stop this.
Oh, how long was your testing?
Well, it takes a while for me to get there because it's 2 hours up and 2 hours back. And then I have to have a CT scan, wait for that to get to the doctor, and then see the doctor, who never runs on time, but is my best doctor.
Okay, well, at least it's the best.
It's worth it. I'm gonna keep him.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
You have to keep the good ones.
That's absolutely right. I think we have a joiner, Hannah. Gallagher.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Oh,
How are you? Welcome.
I'm fine, thank you. I'm trying to like put on the video.
Okay.
Hi, good afternoon.
We're just having a little bit of a board meeting before we get ready for our 6 o'clock meeting.
It's okay, I'll wait. No
Good.
problem.
It's fine. It's fine. We don't have any secrets, do we?
Emma, what part of Florida are you in?
I'm in Orlando.
Oh, that's my neck of the woods. We're in Orlando.
East Orlando. I'm close. I'm at Union Park Middle School.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
welcome. We're glad you're here.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to be here. It's a good topic.
Good. And there's Dr. Harper.
You see us?
Hi, Dr. Harper. Hello.
Dr. Harper, can you hear us?
I don't think so.
I get the impression she does not hear us.
I agree.
Okay, interesting. Dr. Harper.
Hi, good evening.
Oh,
There
good.
it
You can
is.
hear us. Oh, there. Good, good,
Yes.
good. All right. Very good. All right. Good to have you, Dr. Harper.
Thank you.
I introduce you to the rest of our board. I'm Dr. Annalyn Schooley. We have Miss Meredith Neal and Miss Andrea Green Soto. And we already
Hi.
have a participant, Hannah Gallagher. Am I pronouncing that right, Hannah?
Yes, you are. Good afternoon.
Wow. Are you really meeting us from that beautiful location with the ocean in the background?
That's from the Virgin Islands.
Ah,
How nice.
That's my home.
beautiful. And that's where you are right now?
No, I'm in Orlando. I wish I
Oh,
was.
I was going to be so jealous. So jealous.
No, if it was for the coronavirus, I would be there.
Ah, Dr. Harper, we have Irma is going to be logging in momentarily. I had to help her find the link.
Okay, no
So-
problem.
So she is on her way. So due to technology issues, we are currently recording, but when I get this recording, I'm going to lop off everything that's up here. For some reason, I'm not being able to get in as host today. I
Okay,
don't know why. So it's a whole other issue. So what we'll do is at 6 o'clock, we'll start the presentation
okay,
and the conversation. And I'll just lop off this part that doesn't belong and anything that happens at the end. We do tend to run an hour, but we don't have to be confined to that by any means. It can be longer or shorter depending on what you have to say and
Okay.
people's interest.
okay.
Andrea, how many people? 12 people signed up for this?
I checked yet. I was just checking again. When I checked yesterday evening, yes, it was 12.
But 12. So we should have, and that doesn't count Meredith and me and Andrea and Irma. So that's really going to be 16.
And all the other people that we sent it out to.
Right. So that's very exciting. That will be our largest audience to date.
No pressure.
Well, you'll just see us. You'll just see us. So there won't be any pressure. Yeah, you'll just see our pictures. Yeah,
Okay,
not to worry. Not to worry.
okay.
So you're coming to us from your office in your home?
Yes, I'm home like everybody else quarantined. So
Yep.
Yes.
So it's good to have you. Good to have you.
thank you.
Because these videos go up on YouTube, we don't necessarily have to date this by saying we're currently under quarantine, but we
Okay.
can certainly talk about how quarantine and experiences like that can be part of what stresses people to be choosing or to be contemplating suicide. So we can certainly do
Right.
that. I tend to kind of moderate in terms of looking at what's in chat and bringing your questions. Hey, Irma, she's connecting her audio right now.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, sometimes Irma's audio and internet connection is not as lovely as we would hope, but we can hope that today is a good day with
Mhm.
internet. So Yeah, so we keep this pretty cash, but it's however you want. If you have a PowerPoint that you want to do, then feel free to share your screen
Okay.
and we'll do that. Or if you want to just, you know, read off your own, we
But
will.
I have a PowerPoint just to make it easy for everybody
For
to,
you? Okay, that sounds good.
well, for everybody I suggest, you know, keep up. And then I'll read my stuff, but I have the PowerPoint.
Very good. Very good. So, so
Can
up to you.
you
Do you
all
want to?
see me? Can you
Yes.
see me? Oh, okay.
See you. Yep. So Dr. Harper, would you like to try sharing your screen just so that we can kind of test that technology?
Okay, give me 1 second.
Excellent. So while she's doing that, oh, good. All right.
Let's see.
Oh, very good. So we have a full screen then.
Okay.
Very good. This looks great. So I love the purple. So that is fine. So we know that that's going to work. Very good. Very good. All righty. Okay. So I was just wanting so this is kind of a quasi 8 minutes of board meeting, just to catch up the board. The board is Meredith, me, Andrea, and Irma. Henna, just in case you were wondering. And of course, Henna, you're certainly welcome to chime in. We are set up for 4 more webinars for this year: July, and then September, October, November. And the original order of the September, October, November, some of the dates and topics have changed a little bit, trying to get the speakers and everything straightened up. So right now we're going to be doing domestic violence in September, medical errors in October, and ethics and boundaries in November. We are going to have FFTA use their provider number to provide CEUs. So we'll have to figure out some way to have people sign in or register. Andrea, you inadvertently set it up to register, is that correct? Or what did you do that guided so people were registering themselves?
When I set up the event this time, I set it up as that being an option. Of course, it's free, but at least that way we could kind of see how they come in.
Right, right. So let's be sure to set up September, October, November in that way, and make sure that the registrants have to give their license number so that we have that. And then I'm empowered to put it on CE Broker, and then we'll create some sort of certificate that we'll email out to them and that sort of thing. So so that's all moving forward. Isn't that exciting?
That's great. We have year 2 done.
That amazing? Yeah, yeah. And I
There's
put
only
forward
4 of us, for the 2 of you who don't know.
I just want to say amen, because this is like incredible.
Well, I'm learning. I'm hoping that this has been an experience that's giving back. It doesn't feel like you're entirely emptying your energy bucket into this thing. I hope you're getting something back out of it as well. Hope so anyway. We certainly are meeting the most interesting presenters. So, so if nothing else, I'm excited about that. In the minutes that we have, and I suspect that we're going to get a flood of people right at the top of the hour. But Henna, tell us a little bit about you. You're from Virgin Islands, but currently in Orlando. Do you know Dr. Neal over there?
No, I don't know Dr. Neal. No. I'm from the Virgin Islands, originally from Puerto Rico. I used to teach at the University of the Virgin Islands a few years back, and I used to teach Spanish at the University of the Virgin Islands. And then I moved to Orlando about 8 years ago. And I went back to college, studied mental health counseling and psychology. And then I started counseling at rehab facilities here in Orlando. And then I went back to the school system. And now I've been a SAFE coordinator, mental health counselor, designee, Union Park Middle School here. I love it.
Okay.
And very close to.
Oh, wonderful to hear.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Since we're all MFTs, how did you find us?
I'm always like researching email,
Hi, Carrie.
researching on suicide prevention, because my school, as a Title I school, it's very high in suicidal ideations. And always researching, learning, and I'm very close to obtaining my mental health license. I'm like 100 hours away and just close to taking my licensure exam. So I'm always trying to learn more, and I'm really excited to be part of this group now.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
Congratulations on being so close.
And I just wanted to just put a shout out for Alviso University from the San Juan campus, and I'm in the Miami campus.
Oh, nice, nice. Oh,
And
that's
so Orlando's becoming a very nice area where people from Puerto Rico are settling in the Orlando area.
yes, yes. It's pretty neat. We feel welcome.
Good.
Well, I want to acknowledge Marie has come in. Marie McGovern, welcome. And
Hello.
Carrie Boulden has come in. Happy to have her. And so, as I suspected, right at the top of the hour, people are going to be popping in. So, so Irma, I'm going to give you the responsibility of introducing Dr. Harper for us.
Okay.
And then Dr. Harper will turn it over to you to run it however you like. And, you know, whatever is comfortable for you. Like I said, we're not a stuffy group. So, you know, we're pretty laid back, and however you wanted to do things. But let me ask, would you prefer that people ask questions along the way, or wait till the end, or what are your preferences there?
I kind of like along the way, just so that they don't forget, but I guess if they could make a note of it and then ask it in the end.
All right.
It's
So,
whichever one is easier.
okay. So as we get started, what I think I'll do is I'll request that people put their questions into chat.
Okay.
And then if you take a breath, then I can say, you know, we have this question,
Okay.
or at least they'll all be in chat and we can run through them at the end.
Okay.
So we'll do it that way, and I'll monitor the chat for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. All righty. So Marie McGovern, where are you in the world?
I'm calling from Yorkshire in England. So
No kidding.
yeah.
Wow.
I thought you might have lots of
Wow.
people, apart from it's late at night, but I thought you might have quite a few.
However did you find us?
The links come through. There's a lot of I think somebody passes over the AAMFT web things to England, to the Association for Family Therapy. So there are quite a lot of us. So yeah, and I'm a trainer, and I also work in adult mental health. So in Yorkshire. So
Well,
really lovely
you
to
are
be
our
here.
first non in the U.S. participant.
really?
We couldn't be
Oh.
more excited. We're marking the calendar. So you've done something
Well,
new for
lovely
us today.
welcome.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you
Oh,
for
I'm
participating.
delighted. Thank you.
Yes. And Sonia Batia is connecting her audio. So, so we'll have people wandering in as we go. So very good, very good. And now you're going to make me go look up where Yorkshire is, so I know where you are.
It's about 200 miles north of London.
All right, very good, very good.
Is that how Yorkshire pudding originated?
I'm not sure if that's where if this is where it's from. I'm actually from London myself, and people eat Yorkshire pudding all over the country. So
Right,
Okay.
right, okay.
they're called popovers in America, are they? Yeah.
Ah, okay, okay. I don't know. I've not ever done that. So, all right. Now, Carrie, I have to ask, is that a wine closet behind you or is that something else over there?
That would be
It's,
lovely if it was.
well, yeah,
But
it's
it
just
is
looking over
not.
your right shoulder. It looks like you've got bottles of wine in there. So, no,
No,
huh? No, not that
no.
way, the other way. That
Oh,
isn't it, huh?
this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we have to talk about this. This is my this is my candle collection. Okay.
Oh,
It is a collection. I'm not a hoarder.
okay.
Okay. I need to make that clear. I collect them. All
Collect.
right. Okay.
Absolutely.
I
Yes,
can stop
you can
collecting
see,
anytime I want.
I'm a collector as well. Yeah, you can see that.
Yes. Yes,
Yes.
you are.
Yes.
Okay. It's candles.
Papers on your desk. Yeah.
Too funny. Too funny. All right. And JB Stetson, hello.
No, actually, this is Leela Roach. Hi, Meredith.
Hi, Leela.
I'm JB Stetson because I have a loaner computer. Last week I spilled a cup of coffee on my keyboard and it was not good, so it's being repaired. So in the meantime, I'm masquerading as JB Stetson.
Very good. Very good. All right. All right.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
All right. So we have a lot of folks from Orlando. Sylvia is
Hi,
and
Annalyn.
Irma
Thank you. I'm
are
so
ringing
sorry.
in from Miami. Good to
Yep.
have you.
Thank
Lovely,
you.
lovely.
Nice to
And
be here.
Dr. Sonia Batia, can you hear us yet?
Yes, 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 I can.
Ah, lovely. Hello, hello. How are
Hi,
you?
I'm trying to get my camera hooked up as well. So you can see my
Okay.
beautiful face, but
Yes, we
that's all
want
right.
to. We want to. Very good.
But yes, I can hear you well. And
Good.
it seems like the camera that I've been using, when I use the audio on it, I sound like a squirrel.
But you're not sounding squirrely right now. You're sounding
Yes,
quite lovely right now. Quite
thank
lovely.
you.
All right. Let me welcome Eli. Hello, Eli.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. We need to talk about some learning objectives for your presentation that's coming up. We're very excited that you'll be joining us. So that's really exciting.
Great, thank you.
So
Anytime.
lovely. And Kath, Kath, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Oh, right. We do not at the moment see you, but that's okay. It's not a requirement.
Okay.
But I did want to welcome you. Kath, where are you contacting us from?
Jacksonville, Florida.
Jacksonville. Oh, my goodness. We have the entire state represented. From Jacksonville to Miami. All we need is somebody from the Keys and Pensacola, and we'll have the whole state. And
I'll
then
be
we
the
also
Keys on the weekend, so.
Oh, there you go. All right. So we got the Keys represented. Lovely, lovely. So I couldn't be more thrilled to have all of you here today. In just seconds, I'm going to turn this over to Irma, who is our secretary for the Florida Interest Network. So we are the Florida Interest Network. We are the state level organization, the geographic interest group associated with AAMFT. So we are, at least our little band are all marriage and family therapists, and we're thrilled though to have people from other disciplines to join us today to learn about our topic. I just want to remind you that there are other topics that are already available on YouTube, and there will be more topics to come after today's date. So as you think of us, Florida Interest Network, to go look for us in YouTube and see the other offerings that we have. So I'm going to pause for just a moment, and Irma, I'm going to send it over to you to introduce our speaker. Okay, and you'll need to unmute, my dear. Technology.
Okay, so it's my honor to introduce Dr. Melissa Harper. Dr. Harper is from the Caribbean island of Dominica, and she moved to Miami in 1997 to pursue her education. In 2009, she graduated from the Nova Southeastern University with a PhD in family therapy, and her dissertation was titled "The Lived Experiences of Stepfathers and Stepfamilies: a phenomenological approach. She is licensed and also a qualified supervisor for both family therapy and mental health interns in the state of Florida. And Dr. Harper has worked extensively with children and families dating back to 2003, and she believes that interactions within the family system is central to the structure of society. She currently works within the school system as a family clinician, specializing in behavior threat assessment and social emotional learning for students in grades 6 through 12. In addition, she has been an adjunct professor at Alviso University, Miami campus from 2012 to the present, and being able to contribute to the careers of students within the field of psychotherapy is a responsibility that she takes seriously, as it can be life-changing for future clients. As a professor, Dr. Harper sees her purpose as preparing students to make the transition from academia to real life. And typically students envision a premature idea of their careers based on the case examples provided in textbooks. But often the reality of the situation confronts them during internship, and some begin to question whether they made the right career choice. Dr. Harper is married and she is the proud mother of one. Welcome, Dr. Harper.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here tonight to share with you all regarding the Columbia Protocol, and have persons from all over the state of Florida and even as far as Yorkshire, England. So that's really awesome. I cannot be more thrilled. Dr. Schooley, I'm a little bit familiar with you from Nova. I never had you as a professor, but I had many colleagues who had you as a professor. So I am quite
Only
familiar.
half of what they said is true. Only half.
I understand. So.
Oh, you are inadvertently muted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There we go. You're
So
good
I was
now.
saying it was a pleasure being here this evening to, just talk a little bit about this Columbia Suicide Protocol. So I'm going to share my screen so that everybody could see the PowerPoint as I go along, so it makes it a little bit easier for persons to follow.
And let me just say, for those of you who are newest in, that Dr. Harper is willing to entertain questions along the way. So to make that as seamless as possible, if you have a question, feel free to type it into the chat, and I will see it and then find a moment to interrupt her to ask the question.
Okay, so like I said, tonight we're going to be looking at the Columbia Suicide Protocol, a systems approach to suicide prevention. And as we all know, being in this field, this is one of our areas that we're really trying to make a serious dent in, because of the, the impact of suicide on so many facets of our lives. And, given current issues that may be happening, past histories of persons, it's one of those things that, always shows up its head when persons find inappropriate ways to, to deal with their stresses. So I think it's a really important topic that, we continually keep up to date on, and, learn the most recent, information out there as to how we could help our clients in these situations. So some of the learning objectives for tonight is, again, we'll just go over the warning signs and the risk factors of suicide, how mental health stigma impacts suicide. That's a big one. We will learn about the Columbia Suicide Assessment and what differentiates it from the other assessments that have been out there. In addition, we will learn how this assessment uses a systems approach to address this public health issue, because it is a public health issue. And if we do not really adequately address it, we will continue to see the numbers rising. And also, family therapists will learn how to utilize this assessment to empower family members to spot in suicide risk, because they're our biggest ally. The families and the persons within the system of persons who contemplate suicide, those are our biggest allies, because we cannot reach them all. We could only reach a drop in the bucket at any given time. All right, so that's our learning objectives for tonight. So just to give you some background statistics regarding suicide, which is really mind-boggling if you ask. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the US for all ages. what struck me the most was for all ages. So no longer is it a certain age group. We have young persons as 10 and 11, 12-year-old committing suicide. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but that's alarming. Just because, you think of, what could be going on with a person at that age that, that seems to be the viable outcome for them to, deal with whatever the stressor is. Every day, approximately 123 Americans die by suicide. That is a lot. 123 persons dying by suicide, and that's like one death every 12 minutes. So if you look at your clock right now, and you just glimpse at it in another 10 minutes, just imagine that another person may have lost their life to suicide within that short period of time that you were distracted from not looking at your watch. Depression affects 20 to 25% of Americans aged 18, and that's a worldwide issue. Is the number one disability around the world, depression. And for so many of us, especially within this field, we recognize that it is not given the attention that it needs. Thankfully, it's getting there, but it's not really where it's supposed to be in actuality. The highest rate of suicide is in the US is among white American Indians and Native Alaskans. And I'm guessing that's just some information they have. When you lose a person to suicide, it really doesn't matter what category they fit in. That's somebody's family member. And as a result, it impacts them just as severely as it would any other person and any other family. Only half of all Americans experiencing an episode of major depression gets the treatment that they need. Again, this is due to, and as we go throughout the evening, we'll learn due to stigmas that a lot of people do not get the help that they need for major depression, all right? 80 to 90% of people that seek treatment for depressions are treated successfully using therapy. And that's the hope that we have, that if we are just able to get these persons pointed in the right direction, that there is hope. It's not all doom and despair. 250,000 of people each year become suicide survivors. So those numbers are encouraging because it shows that we're making a dent. But when it comes to loss of life, anything that we could do to increase our numbers of people getting the help that they need and doing what they're supposed to be doing, that's a step in the right direction. All right, so these are some of the statistics as it relates to suicide. By the time next year comes out, we're gonna have some more information, and that number we expect it to rise if we do not see a significant dent in what we're supposed to be doing. So we have the traditional approach and an ideation to action approach when we look at risk factors as it relates to suicide. So just the regular traditional approach, looking at risk factors for suicide, is what we have already pretty much gotten a handle on, that we know of those information: mental disorders, depression, homelessness, impulsivity, access to lethal weapons, comfort handling lethal weapons. All of these are things that we have already looked at when it comes to factors for suicide. Where the literature went a little bit further is recognizing, even with suicide ideation, some of these still play a role. And often we used to think that, just having thoughts of suicide wasn't something as alarming enough to seek help for a person who is experiencing it. Because, sometimes you say the person is stressed, they're not having a good day, and that thought just passed through their mind. Now, we may talk about it, casually, but when we really think about it, if a thought is entering your mind often enough, then it becomes something that more becomes an attempt or behavior that when you're really at that point, you're like, what, forget this. This is what I'm going to do. And you're more likely to just go through with it because you already have the comfort of the lethal weapon that you may be thinking of, that you have access to. And then, you're impulsive at that time, because when a person is to the edge at that level, there's no going back from it until they get that help that they actually need. They also look at non-suicidal self-injury. And oftentimes persons used to be like, well, the person wasn't really trying to harm themselves, or it was just a cry for attention. So it's almost like we've minimized it so that we fail to do some action towards it. Just because someone may think it was a cry for attention doesn't necessarily mean that we treat it a little less than, listen, this person one step further and they could have actually ended their life. All right. So some of these risk factors are being looked at even more in depth to help us realize that this is something that we really have to pay attention to, and nothing is minimal. Everything has to be, someone needs the help at some point. There's different levels of care, but at some point somebody has to say, you know what, this person is really needing some help and we need to intervene so that this person doesn't become another statistic. Sorry. Some of the system-related influences that may contribute to suicide: a family history of suicide. Especially for us in this field, it's no-brainer that the family relation and the patterns of behavior could lead to a family history of suicide being one of those influences for someone who's already on that edge and thinking that this is their only outcome. Family history of child maltreatment. Again, we go back to our attachment theories and, you know, all of those child rearing practices and, you know, infancy and school age experiences and all of these things. And if we look enough and we look at the patterns of behavior and the interactions, we recognize that maltreatment is one of those indicators that may influence a person's tendency to have suicidal ideations. Previous suicide attempts. Again, if you've tried it once, it becomes your automated response. If something comes up again that you feel, you know what, I cannot handle this, it becomes something that you feel that you're just easily going to do. History of alcohol and substance abuse. A person who has an alcohol issue or a substance abuse issue, they're more likely to look at suicide as a way of escape. Again, alcohol and substance abuse is one of those, how would I say, it's one of those quick responses that people usually use to subside whatever it is that they're really feeling. So yes, I may be stressed right now. So instead of, you know, seeking help or maybe going to the gym to work on some of the stress I'm feeling, it's easy for someone to say, you know what, let me pick up a bottle of rum or a bottle of alcohol, not recognizing once they've numbed that and that wears off, now your problem is right back to square one, and God forbid you did something extra during that time, you may have an additional issue to deal with as a result of your substance or alcohol abuse. Religious and cultural beliefs. Some cultures, in fact, do see suicide as a noble response or noble solution to a personal dilemma. Cultural differences is one of those things that we have to respect, and as a result, we have to be able to recognize that for some cultures, that is something that's acceptable. The same way you go to the gym to burn off your extra energy, for them, that might seem as something noble because they're sparing the family maybe shame, they're sparing the family a burden. I've had students who've committed suicide, and for them, they're like, in their note, they have written stuff like, I didn't want to be a burden to my family. You know, it would be one less person for my mom to have to take care of. And I'm doing something that's good for my family because I'm giving them a way out. It's heartbreaking to read that, but once you become culturally sensitive, you recognize, I could see why a kid may feel that, you know, doing this is something that's beneficial to the family in the whole run, especially if you have a kid who is very family oriented and, you know, they're working within that system and everything for them is, you know, family togetherness and family bond. It's almost like you take an L for the team, which is your family. Local epidemics of suicide is, again, we usually find that among teenagers, for whatever reason, sometimes they make pacts or whatever it is. And it's one of those things that if we do not have the right conversation surrounding suicide, it's easy for it to become an epidemic when people see it as a way of escape. That's why it's so important to have conversations that enlighten persons. I remember when the movie 13 Reasons Why came out. And, you know, I used to encourage parents, if you're going to have your kids looking at this, you need to have an informed conversation. Don't just let them look at it and leave it hanging. Have a conversation so they understand what it is that's going on, so they don't misinterpret what it is that they see on their television screen. So I think informed conversations help to derail the whole idea of epidemics of suicide. Barriers to access mental health treatment, and there are a plethora of them that we face in our society, and those also help to contribute to suicide. Unwillingness to seek help because of the stigma. And suicide is one of those things that still has a huge stigma attached to it. And couple that with mental health illness, they just go hand in hand. And as a result, it becomes very problematic for us. So given all of these contributions to suicide, what are some of the protective factors that we have? Clinical care for mental, physical, and substance abuse disorders. That's really, really important. And we cannot stress that as enough. And I know as clinicians, we do that it seems like every minute, every day. You know, we try to reinforce why it is so important that we have clinical care for all of those things, so that we recognize that the way your heart hurts and you go to your cardiologist, when your mental well-being is out of sync, you have to find someone you could speak to, because that's just as important. Easy access to clinical interventions and support. All right, a person shouldn't have to jump through hoops to get an appointment with a therapist. Then they're less likely to actually follow through. You know, continuing to fight for that accessibility for clients, especially those who really needs it at any given time, is something that's of paramount. Family and community support and the connectedness is also very important, and that goes back to a systems approach. Skills in problem solving. I usually tell students a lot of what you may do in the initial stages of your therapy with clients is maybe psychoeducational stuff. Yes, you may feel that you didn't go to school for psychoeducational stuff, but a lot of it is really important, because problem solving, conflict resolution, time management, a lot of these things help to diminish stresses in persons. And if you could account for that, some of the other problems they have usually fall by the wayside, because that's what they really needed before we could even get into the meat and potatoes of therapeutic work that needs to be done with them. Cultural and religious beliefs that discourage suicide and support self-preservation. And this is one that is going to be tough, because we all know cultural and religious beliefs run deep. People hold on to them steadfastly because it is what gives us our identity. And as a result, we are going to have to try our best to make inroads to discourage suicide as something that's acceptable, something that's a viable escape for persons who are stressed. And last but not least, I put on the suicide assessment, and specifically Columbia Suicide Protocol, because that's what we're looking at this evening. And we'll go into it as to why it's one of those protective factors. I just want to look a little bit at the mental health stigma and suicide as how it relates to the overflowing issue we have with suicide. Perceived suicide stigma and consequent secrecy about suicides could contribute to mental health issues. A lot of it, suicide is still very stigmatized subject. Nobody wants to talk about it. A lot of times it's the pink elephant in the room, but everybody wants to stuff that pink elephant under some couch somewhere. There's a lot of misunderstanding and ignorance and fear at the root of this stigmatization of suicide. When people do not have adequate or informed information, they become fearful of it. Sometimes it may be nothing that they should be afraid of, but because we have misunderstandings or misinformation, then we are afraid of it and we don't want to talk about it. And it's one of those things I say we need to have a conversation regarding this. There's some conversations we need to have. Otherwise, we run into bigger problems because we try to not discuss it. There are many myths associated with suicide as well. And personally, I believe those have contributed to the perseverance of the stigma regarding suicide. notions that people who kill themselves are cowards and selfish is one of those that still persists in today's vernacular. I mean, we hear of people say that, you know, this person is so selfish, they're coward, they didn't want to address the issue, you know, they were just looking for an easy way out. And because of that, people hear of those things, and when they themselves are faced with issues of maybe suicidal ideations, they don't want to talk about it, because I don't want anybody labeling me as such, because I hear how they label other people. So I'm less likely, you know, to step forward and say, you know what, I've been having these reoccurring thoughts, because I know of the stigmas that's attached to it. The idea that suicidality is hereditary can sometimes serve to further torture families of those who have survived or those who have experienced a suicide death. A lot of times I've heard clients, you know, say, well, I'm worried about my other children because, you know, my oldest son passed away due to suicide, and I'm afraid that, you know, it's now in the DNA of my kids and you know, other family members, and you know, that makes them shy to talk about it. It's almost like, if I don't talk about it, then it won't happen. And as a result, people continue to not seek the help that they need because of all of these stigmas associated with suicide. Instead of having open conversations regarding suicide, we don't want to talk about it. We bury our head in the sand like the ostrich and just think that, you know, if it's not there and if we don't talk about it, it will go away. And from the statistics, it's not going anywhere. And in fact, it's getting even pretty much higher given, you know, the additional stresses that people are experiencing at any given time of their lives, all right? So what is the Columbia Suicide Protocol? Is also called the CSSRS, which supports risk assessment for suicides by asking a series of plain language questions. One of the things that struck me with the Columbia Protocol was the simplicity of it. The answers are to the point that anyone who is at risk for suicide, there's a severity scale that immediate help can be received. Once those questions have been asked, you could easily say, okay, this person needs further assistance. And it's to the point that you do not have to feel that, well, I need to have an MD or PhD, or I have to have, you know, 12 years of whatever level of education. You feel comfortable asking those questions. It was developed in the University of Pennsylvania, and it's supported by the National Institute of Mental Health, by Dr. Posner and her crew at Columbia University. They've been studying it for over 20 years, and they felt that there was an urgent need for suicide research. Not in the fact that we didn't have assessments, but we didn't have assessments that were simple enough that anybody who picks it up had the ability to ask a certain series of questions, and the person being asked the questions felt comfortable enough to answer, and the person receiving the information felt comfortable enough to ask it and not feel intimidated, like, ooh, what's going to happen if I ask those questions? The Columbia Protocol achieved accurate and comparable results by using consistent, well-defined, and science-based terminology. So it's evidence-based. And we all know within this field, evidence-based information goes a long way. I mean, it goes a long way in any area, but especially in the area of mental health. Things that we could measure and quantify makes a difference, because we recognize that, okay, so now we could say X, Y, Z, A, B, and C, and then we have something tangible to say, you know, this is the outcome if we do whatever it is that we need to do. In 2011, the CDC adopted the protocol because it was so much in alignment with what it is that was needed at the time in the area of suicide and the increased numbers of suicide, that they adopted it because it, again, because of the languaging. And towards the end of the presentation, I'll show you an example of the protocol, and you'll see how simple it is to be used. Also, the Food and Drug Administration declared that the Columbia Protocol met the standard for measuring suicidal ideation and behavior in clinical trials. So again, with these major branches supporting it, it gave it the step that it needed to go even further, to put it out there to so many different groups. And one of the groups that they boast of is the Marines. And it was the Marines was one of the first groups that totally engulfed themselves in this protocol. And that during that year, they saw a reduction in suicides within their camp. So it's really one of those that allows for persons, anybody, and if you remember nothing from this presentation tonight, anybody, and Dr. Posner even mentioned a janitor, not that we want them to be in that position, but even a janitor could pick it up if they recognize somebody within their family or somebody late in the office one night. They could pick it up and ask those questions and feel comfortable enough to get help for that person, to me, which was impressive. The users of the tool ask people whether and when they have thought about suicide. So that goes back to the ideation. It also asks them what actions they have taken. All right, when, how have they prepared? All right, so it's not just the thoughts, but have some preparation gone into it. You know, like location of maybe the pills or the firearm or whatever it is. When and whether and when they have attempted suicide in the past, or have they even begun a suicide attempt? All right, and you know, maybe they chickened out, or you know, maybe something happened or someone intervened that they didn't go through. So they ask them all of those things. What interrupted the attempt? All right. So what makes this assessment different from some of the other assessments out there? The first one, the simplicity of it. They ask all the questions, and it's just about 6 questions, 6 simple questions, and it takes a few minutes. To me, it cannot get any simpler than that. 5 or 6 questions and there is no mental health training that's needed. No mental health training, and that struck me from a systems perspective, in the fact that anybody within that person's system, anybody within that person's unit can ask that question. They do not necessarily have to go to their psychiatrist or the therapist to be asked that questions, because a lot of persons who've survived or even left notes from suicides, the day before or the week before, they had met with their therapist. So that was a big indication that, okay, so you just met with your therapist, but this happens. So anybody within your circle should be able to ask you that question, even if you just had a therapy session, because we never know what could have happened between that time and the time of that event. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. What happened here? Give me 1 second. 1 second. Did I lose connection?
No, we see you. We see you just fine. I'm not quite sure what happened.
I have no idea what happened.
But it looks like we're loading back up again, so that's just fine. So so it is quite impressive, Dr. Harper, all of the support in terms of research and things like that that have that has backed up this particular protocol, and I think you're right. It is quite unique that anybody can do that. Okay, we're back.
Thank you. Secondly, it's efficient. The use of the protocol redirects resources to where they're most needed. It reduces unnecessary referrals and interventions, because the way, again, I'll show you a copy of the protocol. The way the questions are set up is, once they answer yes or no, once you get a yes, it immediately tells you to seek help right away. Now, even if you get a no, it doesn't necessarily mean bye, go home, you're good. No, you could get a referral for something further. So this protocol puts in place that the persons who actually are high risk get the help that they need immediately. Those who may be a little bit lower down, they could still get the help, but through their you know, whatever other channels that may be at their disposal. So it's efficient in that the right people are connected to the right people, so that we could reduce the occurrence of of suicide. Effective real-world experience and data show the protocol has helped prevent suicide. Again, like I said, with the Marines, they were one of the first groups who used this protocol, and they saw a reduction in the number of suicides on their basis. A lot of law enforcement persons use it as well, and it has become part of a lot of their screenings, so that everybody is able to get the information that they need and not feel that they have to wait to go to a specific person to get that information. Again, it is evidence supported. And again, within this field, we like information that's evidence supported because it gives us two legs to stand on. And that's a really good thing. Unprecedented amount of research has validated the relevance and effectiveness of the questions used in the Columbia Protocol, all right, to assess suicide risk and making it the most evidence-based tool this day of its kind. Because 20 years, that's quite longitudinal information. So that's really good. It's universal. The protocol has been translated in many different languages that is accessible to persons all over the world, because at the end of the day, it's human behavior. Human behavior transcends all and everything. And stresses are one of those things that it doesn't matter where you're from, what you look like. When you're stressed, you're going to find a way to relieve some of that stress. It has been translated into more than 100 country-specific languages. So that's right there is awesome to me. I mean, there is no reason why anybody cannot ask it. You will fall within some language within that scope. It's free of charge. Free of charge, the best four-letter word ever. It is free of charge. Community and healthcare agencies are able to use it and access it. There are different ones for school teachers. There's those for law enforcement. There are those for persons in business. So it's tailored to whatever discipline and whatever area that you're working in. So again, it fits for everybody. All right.
So Dr. Harper, I have a quick question. The question is that this protocol sounds like a really good family engagement tool for high-risk family members in individual therapy. Has it been used that way to engage family when one of their members is at risk?
Yes, therapists has used it as one of those, remember when I talked a little bit earlier about informed conversations? It's one of those things that you could use as part of your informed conversation, like we use our genogram, so that, people start becoming aware. And I think that's the biggest thing that we have to look at when it comes to suicide and suicide prevention. People becoming aware of not just the risk, but those little subtle things that we may not pay attention to. So yes, a therapist most definitely uses it so that clients who recognize that they're at higher risk, or family members, they become familiar and it becomes easier for them to ask those questions. Because to be honest, I mean, it's kind of hard to do a risk assessment. I mean, I've done them, I do them at my job all the time. And every time you do them, you're just like, you get this pit in your stomach, even if you're trained, because you recognize the gravity of the situation that you're dealing with. So imagine family members, having to do that. It's kind of difficult. So having those conversations with therapists makes it a bit easier, so that in case they do have to use it, then they're more comfortable using it. Right. So that, you get the outcome, and you get the results, and you get your family member in the right help that they need, and not choke under pressure. Because that's what
I have this I have this fantasy in my head that there are parents that sometimes don't take teenagers seriously. Absolutely. And so going through this protocol, because it is plain language, and it is, as you say, so clear, that each question says if there's a yes at any point, we need to immediately take action. I can easily see how that would be a good engagement to help parents kind of come on board with the level of concern that maybe a therapist might have. Absolutely. So yeah, I think that's a great way to engage the family if they're somehow minimizing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thanks.
No problem. Why a systems framework is needed in understanding suicide? Well, usually a systems framework looks at an issue that's important. I think suicide comes under that bracket. It's very important, and it's one of those things that we've been looking at and dealing with as clinicians forever. So looking at it from a systems perspective is important because it's an important issue, and we have to recognize how each part of that pie, is connected in order to make a dent within that public health issue. The problem is FACE is not a one-off event. It's one of those things that we see happen all the time. Based on the statistics we saw earlier, it's one of those things. It's rather unfortunate that we say that it looks like it's not going away, hopefully until we do something that, really meets people where they're at and recognize that, I could seek the help and there's nothing wrong with me and it's not taboo. I am not less than if I have had those thoughts. And the problem is familiar to all of us. It's familiar with the entire world. I don't know one person who may not have indirectly or directly been affected by someone who has passed away due to suicide. It's one of those events that we wish that people didn't have to go through, but it happens, and it happens to the best of people. And I always use Robin Williams as an example. I mean, he spent his life making us laugh. And, the poor man died from depression that, led to suicide. And I tell people, check on your friends, even the ones who are strong. Check on them because you just never know. A well-known history, and people have unsuccessfully tried to solve the problem before. Again, when we have those situations, a systems framework is very important in understanding it because it helps us to divide everything up so that we see how everything is interconnected. And as a result, how we need to have an interconnected approach in dealing with it. And to me, the Columbia Protocol exemplifies that, just because of how all the different parts of a system come together to deal with the situation. So it's no longer just you clinicians deal with it. Everybody becomes part of it, and everybody has a role that they could play in recognizing the issue. The systems framework is embedded in this protocol. Because of the simplicity of it, as I was saying earlier, it's easy for you to maneuver it within, like you were saying, a therapy session to have that conversation. It's easy to maneuver it even in an application, not necessarily an application, but when law enforcement persons do those, how they call it, their background information and all of that good stuff, screening they have to go through. It's easy to incorporate it in those places because it doesn't come across as, ooh, somebody just asked me if I tried to hurt myself. The way it's presented, it's very, I don't want to say attractive, but it's very non-threatening. It's like in a non-threatening manner that makes you feel like, ooh, did somebody say something? Do I give off something that look like I'm a person who might be at risk? So persons become able to recognize that, maybe I could benefit from that. And what happens with the Marines, and I keep using them, I keep using the Marines because they were one of the first set of servicemen that said, we are going to make this part of what it is that we do. And as a result, they were able to see that reduction because they recognize that, okay, we're going to tackle it from different points of view. So yes, as the person's incoming, they would put it within the paperwork, but then at another level, they were also being infiltrated with that same information again. So it became something that it was almost like checks and balances. So they continually were being able to take pause, because sometimes when you ask a person a question as it relates to suicide, initially they'll be like, excuse me a second, just I'm doing something. Second, hold it for that. I'm sorry about that. Initially, when a person asks a question regarding, suicidal ideations or suicidal thoughts, then, they may become on the defensive. But once they're able to be asked again or in a different way, then they realize, okay, maybe that wasn't last month, but I remember 6 months ago around Christmas time, I was going through X, Y, and Z. And then they recognize that it's not that you become totally alarmed. but you recognize, we have to pay attention. Because what we've been finding with other forms of suicide assessments is once we get a no answer or one of those answers, we figure, you know what, we could move on. What makes this approach different is that it says, even if you get that no answer, we still need to ask you this question. Because even if this one is no, there may have been at some points that you prepared about it. You prepared for it. And for whatever reason, you didn't go through it. So this approach allows a clinician, anybody else, like I said, the person doesn't even have to have a mental health background to say, you know what, okay, I've done all that I could have done. I asked the questions. And based on this information that I received, I could now say, you know what, let me pick up the phone and call 911 because this is something really serious. Or I could, you know, have this person make an appointment to see a medical person. It's not just leaving them hanging, for lack of a better term. Using a holistic approach to this protocol allows us to be more, how would I say it? Allows us to be more participatory in it. Because once I do what I am supposed to do, then once the person goes home, I know, like you said, the family member, they have the questions that they could ask, they have something that they could look out for, so they could ask. And once everybody is involved, you're more likely to reduce a suicide from happening, because it's almost like everybody is on guard. So what happened with the Marines is because everybody was trained with it at different segments of any base or battalion, whatever it is that they call themselves. Everybody was trained so that they were able to recognize signs. They were able to feel comfortable to say, you know what, maybe Dr. Schooley missed it because maybe on that day, this person was, you know, in a better position, they were more upbeat. But then when the person go around and they get to Dr. Barron, they're like, I'm recognizing something here. So at any given point on a circle, help can be achieved because everybody has been trained as to what to look for or what to have within their repertoire as to what they can and cannot do. If I feel like I do not have anything to offer, then I'm less likely to ask your question. If I do not feel comfortable with the questions I see on a paper, I'm not going to ask them. But if I feel that they're non-threatening and you know, it's just a simple enough question, I'm going to, you know, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'll be like, you know what, let me ask these questions because I recognize something. And even if I cannot do anything about it, I could point this person in the right direction as to who could do something about it. So that's the systems aspect of it, so that not one person is blamed, not one person has all of the responsibility as to what needs to be done. It's almost like a shared community approach. Each of us has to be involved in this in order for us to see a reduction, all right? So how do we use this Columbia protocol? So again, asking questions, that's what it is, it does, and it's the way it asks the questions. So for us in psychotherapy and in family therapy, we recognize that when we ask questions, we get results, and we've been trained on how to ask questions, but the regular person hasn't been trained on how to ask questions. So they just ask questions. But this protocol is such that the language is very direct. It's very plain. It doesn't mix things up. It calls a spade. All right. And as a result, you're more likely to get an honest, clear response from the person because you're asking a straightforward question. And that's the thing with suicide protocols. If the questions are vague or in such a way that a person could dance around whatever response they're going to give you, they're most likely they're going to dance around whatever the response it is that they're going to give you. So if you ask the direct questions, you're more likely to get a direct answer. And that's what they're banking on with this protocol, so that it could go to the next determining steps, because the questions lead to the next step. Decisions about hospitalization, counseling, referrals, and other actions are informed by those questions. So yes and no answers produce a response. So it's not just that no questions or no answers get, you know, pushed to the side. All right, it gives you something else that is coming with it. Have you wished that you were dead or wish you could go to sleep and not wake up? All right, have you been thinking about how you might kill yourself? All right, that's very direct. All right, have you taken any steps towards making suicide attempt or preparing to kill yourself? Like, for example, have you been collecting pills? Most suicide protocols ask you, do you have access? And access could be very vague. All right, but when I ask you, have you been collecting? That means you're making a intentional step towards whatever it is. You're collecting it. So that goes back to how direct the questions are. So there's no, once you get that answer, you know for sure what the person is saying. There's nothing for you to try to interpret or try to figure out what they're saying. No, it is what it is. Like I said, a spade is a spade. The next determining steps, again, the regular person will simply pick up the phone, call 911, or, constant referral. They may, for example, let's go back to our janitor. If he gets, he has a situation like that, the poor guy or lady may not know what to do, and they may feel helpless, but they could say, you know what, they could go to their boss, they could, speak to maybe a manager that they're cool with or somebody and say, hey, this is what happened. I got this thing and I asked this question and I think something might be wrong with this person. That's all we need. At least that gives us the opportunity to intervene, because had they not spoken to that janitor that night, we don't know if we would have this conversation tomorrow. So that's what this protocol is banking on, that anybody you come in contact with within your circle, within your system, has the opportunity to provide aid, whether it's directly or indirectly. And if we can accomplish that, that's half the battle right there. All right. So how do we empower families and clients? The language, again, is very simple, and I don't know how else to say it. It's as that. And given, again, for clinicians and for us with this background, language is very important. Narratives is very important. The words we use are very important. It's what we do as clinicians in the family therapy program, all right? And as a result, the language is embedded with a psychotherapy approach, which conceptualizes the case using a systems perspective. So again, using all the different persons within that person's system, it allows, like you said, that conversation to be had between parents, children, uncles, nephews, cousins, all right? So a person could say, you know what, this is what's going on. This is what we may be dealing with. No longer do persons have to say, you know what, I need to set up an appointment because I don't know. And then in that time frame, again, with the stigmas associated with suicide and mental health, we delay and we procrastinate in setting up this appointment. And you never know, God forbid, what could happen during that time. But if I feel empowered enough to have a sheet of paper or a sheet of questions that I could ask my child those questions and recognize, wait a minute, Melissa, this is something bigger than you. You need to get on the phone right now and do something about it. That saves a life, because I might never.
We have a comment in chat that I just wanted to, that just sort of reinforces that a protocol like that reinforces the point that we need to be able to talk about it, because people who have survived often have said they wish someone had asked, and having these very plain questions, and some of them are tough. I mean, a lot of these questions people would not think up on their own. They would not find the words on their own. But if they have a piece of paper and they just read it off, right, it might help them get over I could never ask anybody that question, right? But if they go, no, it's written down, this is these are the questions, then it helps the asker to also get over the challenge of being able to ask the questions. Absolutely.
And that's probably one of the biggest hindrances. People are afraid to ask. I was listening to one of Dr. Posner's contributions with Dr. Sanjay Gupta, and she was saying, ask. I mean, people will not get offended if you ask. But if you don't ask, they have a lot to lose as a result of it. They could lose their life. And like you said, you know, if you have it on a piece of paper, you don't have to feel like you're asking a personal question that you came up with. It's on a piece of paper that somebody studied, so I'm going to ask it. So don't blame me, blame them. They were the ones who wrote it. And, you know, so that could make a person feel better. And if that makes you feel better, so you could ask this person and it could save their life, by all means, blame whoever you need to blame who wrote the question. Because at the end of the day, what we want to do is empower family members. And when we say family, friends, you know, your work family, anybody that, you know, informs your system, we want to empower them so that when they see those at-risk signs, that they are action into doing something and not just, you know, be an observer and say, you know what, somebody needs to talk to her. Well, we don't know who that somebody is right now, but we have you right now. And you could ask those series of questions to save that person's life. And that's the piece I was going to towards the end. She says, ask. People will never mind being asked, but they will lose something if you don't ask. And that's the point we want to drive home with family members and, you know, friends and people within the system, that there is nothing wrong with asking. If you ask, you'll get a response. It might be the response you wanted to hear, but you're going to get a response. And at that point, you're able to do something as a result of being asked to ask those questions. One other thing I wanted to say about this protocol is that it's one of those protocols that, you know, once you become familiar with it as a clinician, you recognize that, you know what, this is good stuff. This is good stuff, because at the end of the day, this might save a family member's life. It could save my family member's life. And if I could give that information to somebody else who thinks like, you know, I don't know how to speak to people, you know, who is shy and timid, if you could empower them and empower them in such a way that they feel that, you know what, I could do something about this. We need to do something about this, and we could take back, you know, the reins of control when it comes to, you know, losing so many of our valuable resources, which is our children, you know, our family members. And what prevents us from doing that is not being adequately prepared, because we do not know the questions to ask. So let me show you right now. I'm going to stop sharing a second so that I could show you what the protocol looks like.
And while she's pulling them up, I want to say welcome to all the people that have come in. This is a lovely group of people, so glad to have you all here tonight.
Second.
Yes, Harper, Dr. Harper, this has been a long foreshadowing to these 6 questions. Now I just can't wait to see the 6 questions. It's like we've been talking about it so much, all this foreplay. I want to see the questions now.
I know, but why is it not letting me do what I'm supposed to be doing? Like,
yes.
Listen.
Pesky. Well, it sounds like one of the things we could do is literally look it up. If we just look up Columbia Suicide Protocol, I'm assuming there's a website that would give it to us. Yeah, and so you have it. As soon as you share
I got it. Just give me 1 second. Let me share the screen.
And again, the Columbia comes from Columbia University.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this one I showed is just for asking students.
Okay.
And it's pretty much the same. They just change a little bit of the wording depending on the population you're working with. So this first one says, have you wished you were dead or wish you could go to sleep and not wake up? And you notice the time frame, all right? They make sure they give you that time frame, because you do not want to make it so limited that persons feel like, you know, they're gonna answer no when they should really be answering yes. Have you actually had any thoughts about killing yourself? So once you've gone to those 2, if yes to 2 answer questions, you go to 3, 4, 5, and 6. So those are the high risk ones, all right? Have you thought about how you might do this? That goes back to something that's very intentional, collecting the pills, purchasing the firearm. Have you had any intentions of acting on these thoughts of killing yourself, as opposed to you have the thoughts, but you definitely would not act on them? So if you get a yes for that, you know that's a high risk, all right? Have you started to work out or worked out on the details on how you want to kill yourself? You know, I'm going to do it this afternoon because my mom will be at work, dad will be at work. I have a 1 hour window when nobody comes home. My brother is not home from school yet. That's very detailed. Then we have question 6, which they say, always ask question 6. So whether or not you get a no from 1 and 2 or no from any of 3, 4, and 5, and 6, you still ask number 6, which says, have you done anything, started to do anything, or prepared to do anything to end your life? All right. Again, they look at the time frame, lifetime or past 3 months. So if it's lifetime, you know, we're going to give you a referral, because anything that's in the past, remember, history of suicide or history of suicide ideations could become a risk factor. So if you've had it in your lifetime, we're going to get you into alignment with, you know, a healthcare provider that could help you. Now, within the past 3 months, if you have that, then you know that's definitely high risk. So it's just those 6 questions. That's all it is, those 6 questions, but they're loaded in such that based on the answer, the person asking them knows exactly what they need to do, exactly what needs to be done at that time. So it says any yes indicates that someone should seek a behavioral health referral. That's on any yes. All right. Now, if you have yeses on 4, 5, and 6, that's immediate help. You pick up your phone, you call 911, and you know whatever needs to happen. So it tells you exactly what needs to do, what you need to do. So once you ask those questions, you don't feel helpless as to, okay, so now I have this information, now what? It tells you exactly what you need to do. Even if you do not know what the behavioral health referral would look like, you could always speak to someone who could channel, you know, the person in the right direction. But yes, that's the suicide protocol from Colombia, and it's doing its thing. It's doing it. I really like the system's approach to it, and how, you know, everybody gets involved. There's no bystanders in this game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can easily see how maybe training, you know, entire middle school and high school classrooms of students who could even be aware of these questions. And so if they hear their friends saying it, I can't tell you the number of times I've had teenage girls say that they heard their friends say this, but they weren't going to tell any of the adults, and they try to solve it within their peer group kind of thing. So yeah, so I'm thrilled that like I said, these are hard questions to ask. So knowing that there's all the research behind it could give anybody confidence that though they might be hard to ask, that there's research behind it to say, go ahead and ask. So.
Absolutely. And ironically, I was having a conversation with my principal on Monday, because I was preparing for this, and I already told her that, you know, I really want, during the pre-planning week before we go back to school, I want, you know, to spend one of the days just, you know, teaching this, I'm sharing with the teachers, you know, and everybody, you know, I like the janitor.
I love the janitor part of it, yes.
The janitor to get involved in this, because you just never know, you might be sweeping and you just overhear a conversation, you know, and, you know, you could make a difference, you know, within a kid's life. And especially, I'm at a K through 12, and middle schoolers they're special breed of children.
Well, I'm also thinking of all the school shootings and how there are so many kids that if someone knew to ask these questions, that that they might get connected in a way that would be better. And it's having, as you said, everybody in the school or everybody in the workplace to be able to be aware of these kinds of issues, that we might be able to connect people before they get that desperate to either harm themselves or to harm others. So, do we have any other questions from our attendees this evening? Anyone have a question? We have open mic now.
I have a question, Dr. Harper. I saw on your PowerPoint that there's an app. Are you having?
Yes, there is an app, and I actually use my Apple phone, and because I wanted to check out to make sure it's really legit. And it is. There's an app that you could pull it up, you know, you register for it, and then the questions will come up there based on the different disciplines.
I've got Andrea's already pulled it up. Okay, very good.
There you go.
All right, there it is.
So
Okay.
it's just called Columbia Protocol. And of course, suicide prevention also has an app. And since I work at an agency, it stays on my phone.
Yes.
Ah,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yes.
Excellent. So something we can download
More accessible.
tonight
More
if we
accessible.
wanted to. Okay, very good. Any other questions? Any other questions or thoughts? All right. Well, again, Dr. Harper, I want to thank you for giving us your time this evening and explaining the protocol, giving us the context of it that's very, very useful. And I can see any and all of us sharing this with our staff, our interns, our colleagues to pass on. I love the idea that it's in different language. Maria, it makes me wonder if in England they've translated it to be slightly different from American English to UK English in any sort of way.
I'm just getting the app now. I mean, I think the questions would translate because they're so simple and so direct.
Yeah.
I think they would translate across cultures. And you know what really impresses me about it is it sort of gives people seeing something that is presented in an evidence-based way gives people permission to ask. And then to know what to do next. I mean,
exactly. Next to each question, it gives you guidance as to what you should do. Yeah.
It tells you exactly what you need to do. So, and I think that's one of the important things about it. It gives you guidance.
Yes.
It gives that, simple guidance. So, you don't feel like, ooh, what am I doing? You know?
Yeah. And telling people what to do next. This is serious. This is very serious. That people need that differentiation. So and making it accessible. It reminds me of the public health initiatives around responses to heart attacks and so forth. You need something similar for mental health interventions for such a serious thing.
I would hope, Marie, that on your version of it, that it gives you the proper phone number to use rather than the 800 number that's in the US. So I would hope it would give you that the app is smart enough to know where you are and give you that sort of contact information. So that would be good.
I don't know. It has the questions and it looks like they're asking me as if it was actually asking me. So I'm saying no. I think I don't want to alarm anybody, but it allows me to share my, it comes up with the National Suicide Prevention. It's the American one.
Oh dear. Okay. Okay. I wonder if on the website there might be those same kind of cards, those kind of print-offs that has local information. So we can hope that they've done that. So
well, I'm also thinking at the same time, if you're standing next to someone, especially in this case if it is a child, how easy it would be for you to hand them your phone and say, I want you to answer these questions. And it's only 6, so it's not overwhelming, and by the time they want to tell you no, they've already completed it.
Okay. Yeah. That's a cool idea. I hadn't even thought of that. So cool. All righty.
Yeah, because it looks like when you get to the end of it, you can just restart it. So you could do it, as many times as you want to, just have it handy.
Right. Yeah. Thank goodness the app itself isn't calling 911 for you. So that would be a bit awkward.
But it does ask for your location. So
it does.
Yeah.
It asks for your location. Okay. So then it might then pull up the local information. So that's good to know.
Yeah, you can allow or block.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, you, Dr. Harper, I think you have recruited an entire little army here of people interested in this protocol and experimenting with the app and things like that. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much for your time this evening. And for those of you who listen to this in the future, do try the app. Don't forget to tell the location so that it'll give you the proper information, and think about how you might use this in training or to share with other people. So everyone, thank you very much, and we'll see you at the next event.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And so glad you came, Marie.
Oh, thank you. It's been lovely. Really nice to meet you all.
Yes, we'll hope you'll come to another one.
I will, and I shall pass on the word. You probably get other people.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. right. And it looks like most people are dropping off. So, Irma and
Is Dr.
Andrea,
Harper
I
leave
had
already?
1,
Oh.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So I have 18 names, including us. Yes, but 18 in attendance today.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. This was
that was pretty
wonderful.
cool. Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
Andrea, I don't know what you did, but whatever you did, keep doing it. This was very good.
Yeah, thank you for making that. All right, as soon as I get access to this, I will edit the pieces front and back that don't belong. Otherwise, everyone, take care, and I'll see you at the next board meeting.
Okay.
Right?
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.